Purple Ella here, and once again I am joined by the fabulous Roz, who is visiting from university at this time, and we are going to make a video for you all about how all autistic people are different. Now, if you're autistic, you probably already know this. However, if you're not autistic, you may have at one point or another made assumptions about people because they're autistic. And because someone else that you knew was autistic was a certain way or needed a certain thing, you might assume that this new autistic person also needs that thing or is going to be responding to things the same way.
Yeah.
Like that autism is like a standard thing and we're all the same.
Yeah.
So, we're not.
No. Turns out we're not the same people.
We're not the same people, no. And we have a lot in common, but we also have a lot of differences. So I thought we could make this video where we talk about the ways in which we're different to demonstrate that autistic people are different. Clever. I think that's very clever.
Very smart. She's a smart one here.
I know,
Smart
yeah.
one. You should subscribe so you can see how smart she is.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. And I'm also supposed to do that near the start of the video, so excellent.
I'm smart too, it turns
You
out.
are smart, very smart. Between us, we're nearly one full brain.
We could take over the world.
We could, and if you'd like that to happen, leave us a comment in the comment box below.
And like this video.
And like the video, yeah. Okay, so I thought we'd start with sensory.
Oh, yes.
Because people are very different in sensory. So let's start with loud noises, yes or no?
It depends on whether I've chosen to listen to a loud noise, but also I kind of get this, like often I try and get in this state where I'm like, I won't let loud noises bother me, but sometimes they really do. Like house alarm once, I had to get my mum to lie on me because I was like, I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I actually can't even, because I've come across this autistic people being able to tolerate loud noises that they've chosen thing. I can't really tolerate. So even if I'm listening to music myself at home, it would also still be at a very reasonable volume. I would never ever choose loud. But some autistic people would choose loud as like an actively wanting that
But it's sometimes
thing.
nice, it's like blasting your brain. It's like going,
I never want to be blasted. Never. Okay, which textures or fabrics can you not handle, if any?
Oh no, there are some, but I don't know if I can describe. It's like, when it's like sticky soft.
So like slime? Like sticky slime?
No,
Or
no, slime's okay. It's when something's like looks soft and feels soft, but then also like drags your fingers in a bit.
Okay.
So it's like, I don't...
Like velvet?
No, because velvet is like...
You're good with velvet.
I'm good with velvet.
I'm not sure about velvet.
Yeah.
It's a bit... how about...
It's like a mix between velvet and felt, and I don't, like... It's very rare that you... And then I touch...
No, that's not for me.
But I don't know what fabric is, so this... you just get to guess.
Do I have any... Like, I don't feel like I have any things that I can't... Like, textures that I can't handle apart from in food. So in food, I can't handle coconut, the texture of coconut.
I don't like banana.
I love banana. See? Different coconut.
I used to not be able to
banana.
handle coconut, but now I've kind of...
Now you can.
I'm
There's something
okay.
about it that feels like I've got bits of skin in my mouth. Like bits of dried skin or something. Don't eat coconut whilst watching this video. I would say one of the ways that I would observe us being different in sensory stuff is, I would say, if I had to guess, you know how people are either under or overstimulated, that I tend towards being overstimulated and that you can tend towards being understimulated sometimes. Like
I like a lot of physical contact.
Yeah, like you need to bring
and
yourself
soft
up.
touch. Yeah.
Like you can be quite like, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but you can be quite like, who am I? Where am I? What's going on?
I need something to ground me.
Yeah. Whereas I'm like, hey, oh, meltdown. And I need to be brought down. And that's probably the big sensory difference between us.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like, if we hang out and you're not, you are understimulated and you haven't been brought up, I can tell that I'm a bit much. Like, she'll come in and I'll be like, blah, 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 and she's just like, what? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the ways we differ. So then scheduling. Let's talk about scheduling, Ross.
This is very relevant to this morning.
So I am very, very uptight. I wish I wasn't this way, and I'm not saying it's reasonable or that one of us is right, because one of us isn't right. It's just a difference.
One of us isn't right, but if one of us was right, it would be you.
I'm glad that you understand that. Yeah, that's good. No, seriously though, one of us isn't right. Yeah. I don't feel like you've been in the wrong or I've been in the wrong. I just feel like we differ in that way.
Yeah.
I like to have advance warning. Mm-hmm. I like to have a clear plan, and I like punctuality.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have these things, I can't explain why. It just makes me feel really, really stressed and anxious, and like I can't cope. And I struggle enough to cope with life without that extra factor stressing me out. Whereas for you, having to commit sometimes when you don't know, do you want to explain?
Yeah. Sometimes if like I have to make a plan and I'm unsure of how I'll feel, then the idea of having a set out plan for the day makes me feel very anxious. So it's like exactly the opposite. It's like, unless I've done the things before. Like when I was working, I got into the like more of a routine, and so it was like a routine to me that I got up and went into work, and then I was like, okay, and then I'd put meetings in the day, and then I'd be like, yeah, cool. But I guess because my life doesn't have a lot of routine in it, like putting together plans. There's so many times where I've got halfway through the day and been like, well, my plans have got to change because my feelings have changed. And so
if there's another person involved in that as well, that must be really challenging.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't want to say to you that I'll do this thing and then disappoint you, especially because I've got a few friends that like schedules, and I'm like, oh, I really like, I want to do something with you, but I don't want to plan and then have to like, you know. So this morning, I was supposed to be here at 10:30, and I was perfectly capable of being here at 10:30, and then I woke up and then I felt very sad. When I had to leave the house, and just cried, and I was like, oh no, I know that I should just get up and and I think there have been points where I'd have got up and gone and then cried all the way here, but I was like, actually right now I just need some comfort.
Take the time that you need, take care of your, like all that self-care stuff.
Yeah.
And I do understand that, I do.
Yeah, and so we balanced it. I was like, you know, I probably, in an ideal world, I might have wanted a bit more time to go, like, but I was like, actually, no, just a little time of comfort, and then, you know, get out of the house and come and only be half an hour late rather than like.
And whereas I am on the other end of it, and we've already had a little bit of vagueness around the weekend's activities, which is fine. And I think I was fine with it up until that point because we'd not made a plan, so I wasn't attached to a plan. Yeah. But we've got a plan, and I've got a set amount of time, so I know that I've got to be at 3:00 picking up my other child from school, and I know that I want to get some videos filmed. And it's not even that really though. I think it's just like, this is the time that we said this was happening. My brain can't be okay with this as much as logically I know that it's fine, and I know that it will be fine, and I know that I want to be a supportive friend, and I know that I want to be understanding, and I don't think I was a bitch about it.
No, like, not at all.
I don't think I'm ever like about it, because I know that it's like a compromise thing. But I did feel able to tell you, this is stressing me out. But I understand where you're coming from. But this is stressing me out. And that's the only way to manage it in a friendship where you have that difference, I think, isn't it, really? For you to both communicate, like, what your needs are, and if they can't match, they can't match, but you've at least felt like you've been heard. Yeah,
and I think that's one of the most important things, is to be heard and to recognise that despite the fact that your friend hasn't done the thing that you ideally wanted them to do, it's like they have heard where you're coming from. Yeah, that's really important. So this is a massive difference, and you would say, gosh, two autistic people with completely different approaches to scheduling. How can they even be friends? How could they even be friends? I know, exactly. And how could they both be autistic? And how do I take that information in knowing how to deal with another autistic person in future? Which we'll get into later. So the next section is emotional responses. I think we really, really massively differ in our emotional responses. So I will generally contact a friend, cry, shout, scream. My emotional responses are very like intrusive and noticeable. I'm aware of that. I think I'm getting better at it, but instinctively my emotional responses are big and loud and noisy, and they're not quiet and contained. And I think we have a similar experience in terms of not recognizing our own emotions, but how that impacts on us is different. Yeah. So I'm much more likely to kind of take a step back, leave, just like find a zen where I'm like, I am just here.
Or I might say, find a piece of sand to bury your head in. Sometimes. Like, we're both getting better at this. But when we first met, you would be like, I'm going to disappear.
Yeah. Or not talk about the thing that is bothering me.
Or pretend it's not a problem,
It's
or
not a
whatever.
problem.
Whereas I would be like, I need to come around right now to talk about this thing that's really, really bad, and I feel this thing. Right?
Yeah.
And I think we've both probably found some middle ground in that over the years that we've known each other. But that's our instinct, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, two autistic people with the same issue of not recognising emotions and struggling with that, dealing with emotions, but responding to that in a completely different way. And finally, relationships. So by this, I don't really mean friendships, because I'd say we have quite a similar approach to friendships. So we probably don't need to discuss that. Which is why we're such good friends. And also,
we are genuinely friends.
We really are. Yeah, I don't go, right, that's it, we've finished filming. I want to say a swear word. Fuck off. This content is not made for kids. But if you are a kid, don't use that word. It's bad. It's a bad word. So we are really genuinely friends, and I think our approach to friendship is quite similar, which is why that works, in that we both have quite a kind of weird structured, like, you're next on my list kind of approach to friendship, which makes it easy for us to understand.
Some complicated mental arithmetic to be like, well, who next?
Yeah, exactly. And to know who our friends are, and to know what we want from friendships, and we're both quite committed to our friendships and to being there for our friends when we possibly can be. Yeah. However, I would say our approach to romantic relationships is completely different. So I'm quite needy in romantic relationships. I want to be with the person that I'm in a romantic relationship with as much as possible. I want to be the most important thing in their life. I want to be the centre of their universe. I want them to be with me as much as possible. And it's like a big love affair, and I want to declare it, and I want to get married, and da-da-da. Whereas when I met you, you were like, I do not want to be attached to anyone. I do not like commitment. I do not like any of those things.
Yeah, that's a lot of expectation on you.
Yeah.
And, oh gosh, I hadn't even got this far in my head of the thoughts. And that's why, because, the only other relationship I was in was when I was 17. It was like, I want someone who accepts me for who I am as a person, which is very complex. And I want someone who I accept for who they are, which is very complex.
Yeah.
A very difficult thing to do. So I was always like, well, that's a very difficult thing. And then you got to figure out the person and
who you are
and
in
who
the
I
first
am.
place. Maybe you'd reached that point of being ready to do that with someone else.
Yeah, I think I kind of had. I got to a place where I was like, oh, actually, I kind of got this. And then I moved and was like, I don't got this anymore. Mayday.
But you'll get it again.
I'm coming back now. This year, I've got it.
You've got it. 2020, the year in which we have got it. So, without wanting to, I know you don't like to share a huge amount about your personal relationships, and that's completely valid, but I would say it's more likely like that I'm like full blown, throw myself into relationships, jump first, think later. You're more like think an insane amount and then gently perhaps tiptoe in.
And also like trick myself, so be like, no, all those thoughts, put them to the side, just do things. They're still here. What?
Right. So it's kind of like an accidental, gentle.
Just go on the day's not. Just don't worry.
Doesn't mean anything. Just see what happens. Basically, we're all just astonished that you're actually in a relationship.
Me especially.
Sorry. So we're very different in that way. And so all this kind of joking aside is just basically the reasons that we're very different is that although we both have autism, we
are
humans first. Yeah, explain that.
Humans are all different.
We are all different. You're not the same as someone else with, say you both got diabetes. Would you be the same? No.
Just anyone next to you. Look at them. They're different.
Yeah.
In many ways, and some ways the same. We breathe. We have blood.
We poo.
Yeah.
We eat. Usually in the other order. We're human.
But it depends on the day, really.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. So essentially, the autistic traits are what lead to an autism diagnosis, but the way that we humanly respond to those traits and which collection of traits we have is very, very individual.
And the way we interact with the world is just human by weirdness that still I feel like we've not grasped.
Well, it's our genetics, it's our past, it's how we were raised. It's such a massive combination of things, and we have a lot in common, and we've still managed to find a lot of differences.
Yeah.
So how would you respond to someone who's like, well, that's great, Rosanella, thanks so much. Now how the hell do I know how to translate my autism knowledge to working with autistic individuals?
Everyone's different.
So
Respond,
what could you do if you're working with a new autistic person? What could you do to find out what they need?
Get to know them.
You could talk to them, or
by
use
talking to
PECs, or whatever communication. Communicate with the autistic person. The thing that I really hate...
Like Ella's trying to communicate with me right now.
Right.
It's complicated sometimes. The other person doesn't know what you're saying. They get it eventually.
But we get there. Exactly. So communicate with them. I hate it when with the kids, if I work with a new teacher or a new TA and someone comes in and they're like, I don't really know very much about autism or your child, but please do teach me. That's great. I love that. What I hate is when I get I know all about autism because I've worked with X, Y, and Z number of autistic children. I've worked in a special school and I know all about autistic children, so I know exactly what to do with your child. I've had that several times and I really hate it because it's like, well...
Everyone's different.
We're all different. So what is the theme of this video, Roz?
Everyone's different.
Everyone's different.
Everyone's different.
Having everyone's different dance. Do, 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 do. Woo. So, thanks for watching. As we mentioned earlier in the video, don't forget to subscribe.
And if you want us to take over the world.
Subscribe to this channel.
And if you don't,
do so anyway. Subscribe anyway, so you can keep an eye on us and make sure that we're not.
Yes.
Either way, subscribe. And I will be back next week. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.